It's Nichelle and welcome to my garden. As you see behind me with all of the leaves and the bare trees, it is still a late winter around here. I live in North Carolina in zone 8A and we're having a mild day right now. It's actually pretty out. It's about 60 degrees, maybe about 58, 59. We just came through a really cold spell. I mean, we had ice and we had snow and we had sleet. So today is a really pretty day. So I just wanted to get outside and enjoy some of the sunshine. Hence why I have my cap on, because the sun, which feels great, is shining really bright right here. So it was either sunshades or a cap. So I chose a cap just to shade my eyes a little bit. So what I wanted to talk about today was seed starting. We're all probably like prepping. Some of us may have already started. I know some of us have probably already started winter sowing also. But today I wanted to talk about seed starting and seed starting mixes. There's a great debate going on, whether you really need to use a seed starting mix or if you can just use sifted potting soil. Well, I love an experiment. And sometimes I can be easily influenced in a good way. I've tried many ways of seed starting because I always want to try something new just to see how it goes. I love to winter sow. I also have a seed starting setup inside. And I have always used just a traditional seed starting mix that you can just pick up at your local store. And so the more I have been watching YouTube and reading, I see where that really isn't necessary. So this year, I'm trying two different things. One thing that I did was, in my seed starting trays, I put sifted potting soil in the bottom of the seed starting trays, just little cubes. And I topped it with seed starting mix, thinking that the little seedlings may need a softer, loftier soil to push through to get going. But then when their roots hit the potting mix, it has more nutrients in it and it will really give them a better start. And I might not have to fertilize as much. But then Floret came out with her magic seed starting mix. I hope I didn't mess that name up. I think that's what she said. But she just came out with it. And it's using ProMix, their ProMix BX potting soil. It's using sifted compost, blood meal, bone meal, and kelp meal. She showed the difference from just using a regular basic potting mix that doesn't have fertilizer in it to that potting mix with just a little fertilizer to her mix, which I had just stated, and the difference was astounding. So, probably being the teacher in me, right? If you don't know, I'm a retired school teacher. I just retired this past July. And so I love to learn and I love to do experiments. So I was like, I'm going to follow along with this and see how it goes. So I have I have three different seed starting mixes going on right now. I've got my traditional because that's how I started this year. I have two trays that way. Then I switched and I have a whole tray that has the potting soil at the bottom and then the seed starting mix at the top. Now my next seeds, I'm going to start this way. And I really want to see the difference. So I'm going to take you along on that experiment with me. And so this video will just show what I do to prep it. I'm just following her recipe. Of course, I had to do one thing though. Her recipe calls for a bale of ProMix BX, which is 3.8 cubic feet. I already had here at my house a brand new bag of ProMix BX, but it was a 2.8 cubic feet. So I just adjusted the measurements of the other ingredients so that the percentages are still the same. So I'm going to take you along with me to show you how I mix that up. And then in subsequent or later videos, I will show me actually sowing my seeds in here and watching their growth over time. So hope you come along with me and enjoy this experiment. Okay, let me show you the ingredients for this Floret Magic Mix. So here we have our Pro Mix, and like I said before, mine is a 2.8 cubic feet. It's not the 3.8 because I'm using what I had on hand, brand new bag. I'm also using compost, which I'm going to sift. Black Cow is the compost that is readily available near me. So that's what I'm using. And so I also was able to get some blood meal. And then we have our bone meal. And none of my local stores had any kelp meal, so I had to order this in. And so then I'm just going to give everything a mix. I'm going to use this tote to keep it in. I have it in my Gorilla cart so that I can wheel it back to where I'm going to keep it because it's pretty heavy. But I'm going to keep it in here, and I have a nice top to put on it because you want to keep this mix dry until you get ready to use it. So don't introduce any water into your initial mixing here unless you intend on using this whole thing at one time. I won't be able to start that many seeds this year, and really what I'm thinking about doing it after I finish starting all my seeds this year, I'm going to use the rest of this to top up my garden beds because it will just be full of all kind of nutrients that I can use there also. So let me get started mixing this and we'll see how it goes. Also, I'll put the recipe on the screen somewhere so you can get that. This is how I like to do it. What you're trying to eliminate, because unfortunately sometimes they'll have big pieces in there that the seedling would have a hard time pushing around through. And so what you're left with is just clumps that are too big. And some of this, if you press on it, it really is compost. And what I'm going to do, I will not throw that away. I will put that in my garden beds. And what you're going to be left with is something that looks really lofty and nice, that the seedlings are going to be able to take up the nutrition in there really simply, really easily. So I found this on Amazon, and it fits right over a 5-gallon bucket. And for this recipe, we need 3.7 gallons, which is about 3/4 to the top. Not quite to the top, 3/4 about there. So I'll just work on this and then I'll be back. Okay, I'll be honest, that takes a minute to sift 3.7 gallons of compost. But it is so worth it because I tell you what you're left with is so beautiful. And I don't know if my mic is picking it up. I don't know if you can hear it, but the birds are enjoying this beautiful weather just as much as I am. So now that we're all sifted, and it wasn't that bad. Black Cow is just a general that you can get everywhere, and it really wasn't that bad. You may want to look for a compost that you may not even have to screen at all. But for this to be local and only $6, I didn't mind sitting outside, sifting it through this screen on this beautiful day. But now let's get to mixing. All right, I've gotten you in here kind of close so you can see what I'm doing. So let's see if I can hoist this 2.8 cubic foot of soil into the tote. Quite a lot of general purpose growing medium is what they call it. This is what the bag looks like. All right, so I've got my handy dandy little spade. I love this little spade for jobs like this or digging things out of big containers or working in my flower bed. If you need to know, they have these at Walmart for like under 10 bucks, right under 10 bucks. All right, so now let's mix in our 3.7 gallon bucket of sifted compost. Ooh, doesn't that look pretty? All right, and I'm just kind of mixing in between adding our other things just so hopefully I can get an even mixture. I love soil and it smells so good. All these nutrients that the plants are going to get give the seedlings a good start. You have great growing medium. You'll have healthy seedlings and healthy plants. All right, now next up we have is some bone meal, and we need 4 1/3 cups. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. And a third. Okay. Next up we have our kelp meal, and we need 2 1/4 cups of this. Oop, I'll be a little extra on it. 1, 2, and I think I'm just going to make it with this little old bag. And a 1/4. And there's just a smidge left in here, but I'm not going to mess up the recipe. I'll do as they say. All right. And then got the blood meal, and it doesn't smell too bad to me. Not too bad. So we have 1. And 2/3 of this one. Okay, so let's mix. Let me roll up the sleeves for this one a little bit. After being so cold and not really being able to get outside, this feels great. And I'll just do my best to mix it in. This is a lot of soil. Now they may make the Pro Mix in another size, a smaller size, so you wouldn't have to mix up so much. But like I said, I'm going to top dress my flower beds, or my garden beds, my raised garden beds, with this, what I don't use to start seeds. You could probably use another generic soil, potting soil, or medium as they call it. I'm just using what Floret said because I want her results. However, she used what she called some kind of seed blend as her compost, which would probably be like Land and Sea. However, I could not find any Land and Sea local to me, and I wish that I could. You know, it's hard to find Espoma products near me for some reason. But anyway, I just used what I had, so it'll be fine. It will be fine. So this is what you do. Just mix it up best you can. I'll continue mixing to make sure it's thoroughly done. Then you can see that the Pro Mix had vermiculite and whatnot mixed in. I can see the bone meal. Of course, the kelp and the blood meal kind of disappear away. But I'm really excited to try this with my plants, my seedlings, and give them a really good start. So guys, that will be it for today's project. I'm really excited to see how this seed starting mix will do with my seedlings. Hopefully great seedlings and then really healthy, big, beautiful plants and flowers for the season. So excited for that. Shout out again to Floret for sharing your amazing recipe with us. And guys, I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Happy gardening.